So the sprint weekend at COTA gave us the real picture of how a normal sprint weekend would look like, and a lot of people including me didn't find the sprint weekend at COTA to be entertaining. I realized how much the mixed to rain conditions saved some of the sprint weekends we had earlier this year. The sprint race at COTA in a way kind of killed my excitement for the feature race by showing a glimpse of what's gonna happen. The FIA is happy to tinker and find a better way to execute the sprint weekend after the fans' comments on the sprint race at COTA. I personally feel like the sprint format that we had back in 2021 and 2022 was a bit better, with only one qualifying session, and that is for the sprint, and the sprint race finishing order being the starting grid order for the feature race. It put some pressure on the drivers to not have an incident in the sprint race, as it would put them on a massive back foot for the feature race, and gave the drivers who screwed up in the qualifying to have a chance to recover and have a better starting position for the feature race. It also gave chance for the teams in the bottom 5 that had the car with pace to score points but had bad tire degradation to score a point or two in the sprint race. The new sprint format for 2023 felt okay at the start in Baku, because we had two competitive drivers from the same team gunning for the win, so that kind of saved the Baku sprint week. In Austria, we had the sprint race start on a damp condition, with the track drying to slick condition, with some drivers taking the gamble to pit for the dry compound. In Belgium, obviously we had rain that week. In Qatar, we had a close battle between Red Bulls, Mercedes and McLaren, with a different sprint winner, which held the anticipation of what's gonna come for the feature race at Qatar. But this is the first time we had a normal sprint week, so to speak, with the current situation of Sergio Perez not in form. The qualifying actually was good for both the sprint and the feature race, but the close delta between the top 4 didn't really translate into the race, as Max just pulled away like he was running no downforce on that Red Bull in the sprint, and that kind of killed the hype that I was on for the feature race from what I got of the qualifying session, with my only hopes being Max starting P6 with those drivers closest to him all starting ahead of him. I thought we had a close battle to the end of the race, with constant overtaking and defending, with drivers playing tricks on each other. We had Max and Lewis, and we know what happens usually when these two go wheel to wheel, and Lando, Charles know how to race Max, so I expected them to use some sim racing tactics similar to what Charles did to Max last year at Bahrain with DRS tricks, and what Carlos and Lando did at Singapore by working together to fend off the Mercedes. I was expecting all of those things. Once Max got through Lando, the race became predictable. That's why I titled the Austrian Grand Prix review as quote-unquote boring, but I guess the better term would be to call it predictable. So coming back to the topic, some changes need to be made to the sprint format to increase the fan engagement on a Grand Prix weekend, even during a team or a driver's dominance. So I've come up with 2 ideas that I think, not for sure, but I think that could improve the engagement level of the fans, and also could improve the chances of drivers from the bottom half of the top 10 constructors to score some points to gain some positive momentum during a season. So my first idea would be reverse grid with sprint shootout or without sprint shootout. Well, the reverse grid idea was actually something that I heard from Carlos Sainz say in an interview with P1 with Matty and Tom, but he just said as a reverse grid. But I think it could be done with and without the sprint shootout. If we are to do it with the sprint shootout, the reverse grid applies from the sprint shootout results. But if we can eliminate the sprint shootout, we can apply the reverse grid order for the sprint race based on the drivers' championship order. Like if Max is in P1 in the championship with Sargent in last, Sargent takes pole with Max starting at the back. I think that would be interesting, with the points being awarded to the top 10 and not the top 8, with the winner taking home 10 points and minus 1 point from 10 for each position below P1 till P10, with the reverse grid pole sitter taking a point for the pole position. And my second idea would be mandating pit stop with specific softer compound of tires for the sprint shootout and the sprint race. This is something that I feel like would be really interesting. By mandating a pit stop, it would immediately nullify anyone just running away on a medium compound or a hard tire to the end. But when you factor in sprint specific softer compound of tires for the sprint shootout and the sprint race, that could really spice up the sprint race and make the sprint event of its own during a Grand Prix weekend. Also, there are teams that perform better on a softer tire than the harder compounds, so this could give chance for those to score some points. So these are the 2 ideas that I believe that could hopefully improve or better the sprint format. Let me know in the comments on your thoughts on these ideas, and also put your ideas that could improve the sprint format as well down in the comments. I'm curious to know your thoughts and opinion on it as well. That being said, if you like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also hit that bell icon and turn on all notifications so you get notified whenever I upload a brand new video. I'm your boy Urbancast aka Vinesh, and I'm out. Love you guys, stay safe, peace.